Hi everyone, and thanks to listening to these episodes. Today I want to incorporate a special message for you. Because if you've been wondering to join the conversation that we were having at Verbonden, there might be an opportunity. From the 17th to the 19th of September, there is a conference held in Brussels by Intersection 25. This organization, this conference, they will bring together enterprise architects, but also service designers and human-centric designers. So a lot of people will be there. It's an international event. And I have something extra exciting for me personally, because we will be recording the new episodes of Verbonden, the podcast, at the conference with an audience. So we are going to do a pop-up. If you are attending, you might join in the public as well. I'm also thinking to get some people behind the mic and share some thoughts on what they are learning at the conference, just to keep the conversation going, but also to get you as audience, listeners, viewers, more involved in the podcast as well. So maybe we'll see each other there. Welcome to Verbonden. This is the second conversation with Wolfgang Goebl, enterprise design coach and president of the Intersection Group. In the last episode, we discussed why architects often struggle to have an impact. In this part of the conversation, Wolfgang introduces EDGY, a framework that makes enterprise architecture more tangible. Do you want to sharpen your skills as an enterprise architect? Welcome to Verbonden, the podcast where we combine insights from experienced professionals with real-world examples from the world of architecture. My name is Elise Luijks, and I am your guide through the layers of enterprise architecture, making it less mythical and more concrete. I read about the EDGY framework and the concept that it's more than technology.
Yes.
It's the holistic view of the enterprise. Could you quickly fill us in on that?
Usually I use this one. So because what we say in EDGY here, we have only three elements. We have people, so person. What we believe in the heart of EDGY, this language is simple. When you design enterprises, you have people at the center and people performing activities. So that this triangle here is a bit of a process. I'm talking to you, so that's an activity, right? And the square here, that's an object. So I need a microphone. To achieve outcomes. So we have the fourth base element, the circle here is outcome. Yeah. And after 2 or 3 years of working on EDGY, we were quite excited and said, okay, we don't need more to design better enterprises. We don't need 50 elements like Archimate. Yeah. And that's the basic idea. We only have 4 elements. And you cannot argue against those elements. And everybody in the business understands outcomes, objects, activities, and people, of course. So it's really simple at the heart. And then what we do, we have those colors. I mean, it's not really this, but it changes its colors all of the way. So what we take like a flashlight, we have a blue flashlight, and we call it an architecture facet, which means in this moment, I look at those elements from an architecture perspective. It's the same people, activities. So when we look at activity, we call it a process. So that means when we use the architecture facet, we ask ourselves, how are we operating? What are we capable of achieving? So the whole operations topic, processes, capabilities, IT assets are in the blue, in the architecture facet, which means the object here, the square element, can be an IT application, for example. So when I look at an IT application from an architecture perspective, we color it in blue and it's an asset, like a machine or a building. So that's the architecture part. Yeah. And on the same level, we have 2 other perspectives. And one Some say it's the most important, we are not always sure, is the identity perspective. So then we need to take a green flashlight. Okay, let's look at people. Again, we have the same base elements, only those three, and people, as me as a person, and those three elements here. And say, okay, who are we? People. And what do our assets say about us? If we have machines that pollute the environment, if we have machines that are dangerous for the workers, and we look at that from an identity perspective, what does it say about our identity? And what does it say for our brand, which is in the intersection somewhere? But the object is always the same, and I can look at it from this: how does it work? What makes it work? What does it say about our identity? And I can look at the same object from an experience perspective, user experience, for example, or employee experience. It's the red facet, the third facet, where we say, what does it mean for the outer world? How do we feel to the outer world? So then it becomes, we connect to the world of user experience. And of course, you can look at the same asset, the same machine, also from an experience perspective. Is it easy and convenient to work with this machine, for example? And we believe this simplicity is what makes the power of EDGY, because then we want to bring in people from various disciplines into a co-design space. Sometimes we call it a negotiation space. We must be aware it's not always only about design and creation. Quite often there's interest, and some IT people have the interest to sustain a certain IT platform. Experienced people want to do the best for the customer experience, and so on. And they have their perspective. And what we want to see is that those disciplines meet in what we call intersections. So we have the blue facet, architecture, and we have, for example, a red experience facet. And magic, what we believe and what happens many times when we do that, is magic happens when the people working mostly in one facet from one perspective meet people from the other perspective in what we call intersections. So these are the overlaps between the facets. Means invite workshops, encourage people from experience perspective, product designers, service designers, and the engineers in a room, and provide them with the simplest possible language that they can talk to each other. So EDGY at the heart is more of a language than a framework. We say it's a language. It's a language because disciplines currently, when you read the books from various disciplines, sometimes they're talking about the very same thing. They're talking about the same thing, but they use different words, terminology. So it's more about connecting disciplines than inventing a new discipline. That's the idea.
I heard you say that, what I want to know from you, which people do you ideally bring together? I heard you say UX experts, or user experience experts, and technology experts from the company. What is the ideal group of people that you want to bring together?
I think it depends on the design challenge. You must be aware not every change is the same. Sometimes you have a problem, you start with a problem like revenues are in decline. Okay, what could that mean? It could mean our processes are inefficient. So you could look at it from an architecture perspective, run some exploration. We must have a cheaper operations. That would be more the architecture perspective. Or you point to your product designers and experience designers and salespeople maybe that say, okay, we need more products, we need more revenue. Please, let's better understand our customers. What can we do? Then you scan the whole ecosystem and so on, and you focus more on the experience and on the product perspectives, not so much on the architecture perspectives. Yeah. But most of the time, if you have such a challenge, revenues are in decline, you maybe need all three facets. So that means, okay, maybe I need to get a bit more efficient, and we need maybe some new products, but which new products, what is it what we could create? I mean, it must be feasible. We must be able to deliver those products. It's not enough to envision new markets, new products. You must have processes and assets and architecture ready to deliver it. So that's the intersection between experience and architecture. And the third question in such a challenge would be, would it fit our brand? Would it fit our identity? I mean, if today we are, boring insurance company, not very exciting. And somebody has the idea we must be a bit like, I don't know, Google and fancy and want to fly to Mars and so on. Yeah, nice vision. Does it fit our architecture? Does it? So what's possible from a cultural change perspective? What's possible for the people? So if you want to have a change, it's always helpful to apply those three facets we have in EDGY and change your perspective, reframe it from time to time. Now let's look at it from architecture. Should it be more efficient? Now let's look at the products. Do we need more products, new products, change the experiences, how the people can buy or get services from us? And what would it mean for our brand and so on? And I think it's this more like dancing between those facets. It's a bit fluid. And we are always looking at only at these elements here.
Yeah, it's very nice that you give through EDGY a certain focus for people, because I can really see with the examples. Also, thank you for giving these very tangible examples. I know that people listening, they really like that. And I can really see, like, if you have an idea or a problem statement or a question for the organization, that you can look at, okay, which one of the three flashlight areas could tackle this, could handle this situation the best, and they can come up with a solution. But yet you need to look at the other flashlight areas. What is the impact of their idea or their initiative on the other on the other areas as well? So you can use your flashlight. I can now imagine that we turn the lights off in companies and there's people walking around with flashlights, literally. But yeah. I see
that's the idea, yeah. And after 20 years doing that, or 30 years in companies, I must say that companies suck at interdisciplinarity and interdisciplinary design between experience and architecture, for example. Yeah? So you have managers, they provide a mission, a vision maybe, and some fluffy strategic goals maybe, which are quite often not in line with what's possible with your capabilities and IT and processes. So there's usually a huge disconnect between top-level management, their vision, and maybe their identity, culture they want to shape, and what's possible. And then the other aliens, the disconnect between the whole service design user experience community and enterprise architecture community is huge. We discussed it so many times. And they are frustrated as well. So I can also speak for the service designers, because nobody implements their services. They have nice ideas. That would be fine for my customers, but maybe they have not spoken with the IT department. Is it possible with the data we have? Is it possible with the IT systems we have?
Yeah, of course, because in the architecture discipline, they often work with constraints. And UX designers, they often work with ideation, which is very broad, conceptual.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I guess I understand that you have some experience bringing these people together, but I know that if this connection has been around for a very long time, there's also what happens if you bring people together in this way?
We believe our way to nudge them into the intersection between architecture and experience is simplicity, is beauty, is making them understand the other side. And if you, in EDGY, for example, we have some diagrams where you can model in red customer journeys and tasks. So that's the world of service design, products, and so on. So those are some EDGY elements which experience and service designers are familiar with. Product, services, tasks, top tasks, and so on. Channels, that's their language. And if you simply connect it with the concepts we have in architecture, capabilities, processes, IT applications, data, if you want, they also have data. There are UX people that call themselves information architects. So, of course, data information is on both facets. But if you see data from an experience point of view, from the people, and you see it from a relational database point of view, or IT point of view, you have a very different perspectives. And that's what we want to do with the flashlights. So an agreement on what kind of information are we talking about?
Yeah, it's by picking up on a few of the elements that they are very familiar with in their discipline, but adding on them with maybe new ideas, inspiration, like, so this capability has like a connection with my top tasks.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
They don't get under capabilities. Capabilities it's sad, but it's a sad reality. Capabilities still is a concept in enterprise architecture space. It should be a business concept. Mm-hmm. It's not in strategic managers don't think in capabilities. Enterprise architects do. That's the fundamental problem. And experienced people, capability, what's that? I have services, I have top task. Why do I need that? Yeah, and
which is why a lot of companies start with a capability map, but they never finish it, or if they finish it, then they don't maintain it a lot of the time, and then it very quickly loses value as well.
Exactly.
That's a frustration.
I can feel your frustrations. That's fine. Maybe we can help you create better enterprises. No, but this frustration is everywhere. We create capability maps, and 3 years later they are dead, because management still thinks in organizational units. They structure their departments in teams, or in the group. They structure the business in departments or teams. That's their way of decomposition. And enterprise architects want to have capabilities, which is the better approach. And in reality, organizational structures should be derived from the capability model. The capabilities should suggest the organizational structures, which as a consequence would mean that you should co-design org structures and IT structures and capabilities in a seamless approach. For me, that's totally obvious. But what we see today is, there's big manager on top, and he by brute force structures. He does not usually, they don't design the structure top down. I'm in duty. It's my department. I'm accountable, and that's why I structure it that way. That's not design. If you do a sound capability design with dependencies and processes, value streams, business architecture, and you do that as a first step, and if we at a certain point of time will ever get there, that managers use that as the blueprint for the organization, that would be a fundamental change.
That's actually Conway's law, that IT architecture will eventually follow what the organization structure is.
Yes.
However, an organization structure can be redesigned and changed, but it takes a lot of money and time to get people to reorganize, and yet then you have the part that has much more difficulty to follow very often, which is the technology part. If there's a reorganization, it always it happens a lot that the IT has to follow as well, and this is very often very, very quickly very complex.
Yeah, a fundamental cause of this frustration we are talking about.
Yeah.
So this was the EDGY in action, connecting user experience, business identity and technology in a way that fosters collaboration. But knowing how to design an enterprise is one thing. Knowing where and when to apply your skills is another. In our next episode, Wolfgang shares his best insights on making a real impact as an enterprise architect. He gives practical tips that he learned throughout his career. Many thanks to Pieter-Jan Rombout for producing and editing, and to Lennart Busset for the intro music. And of course, thank you for listening, and see you next time.